Hi, welcome to another episode of Lightbulbs with Natasha. I'm Natasha, as you all know, and today I am here in Long Beach, California at District Wine with the CEO, Angela. Angela, thank you so much for being here, and thank you for letting us be in your space. We're actually in your place, and it's so gorgeous. I mean, we obviously picked a great setting. So.
Oh, thank you. I'm just so happy to be here with you. Thank you.
Yeah. So, I mean, I know you just came back from vacation, which is awesome.
I did.
We were just talking about that. So you feel good? Feel energized?
I do. I feel rested. Yeah. I feel excited, like ready to dive back in.
It's so great. As business owners, I think it's so great to when you come back from vacation because you just rewarded yourself.
Yes.
And it's like you took a beat and then you come back and it's like sometimes like I feel like when I'm on vacation too, I'll get new ideas. And then I come back and I'm like, we're going to do this and this and this.
Exactly. Like it renews your excitement and you see different restaurants, different atmosphere, different plating, everything. So
Absolutely.
we get very excited.
I mean, I'm excited to even just be here because I was talking to you about it and how this is one of the first places I visited when I first came to Long Beach. And sure enough, a few months after I moved to Long Beach, I was never from here. I never really visited Long Beach, even though it was only 30 minutes away. But I feel like Long Beach had this it was like this little magical place and everyone's like, just go to Long Beach, have fun there. I'm like, what's there to do? And then I come here and I'm like, there's so much to do here.
Yeah, and I think Long Beach had a bad reputation. So if you don't come and experience yourself, you really miss out.
Yeah, my parents, because they've been here for such a long time, but in OC. But when I mentioned Long Beach to them, they did like, be safe, be okay. Yeah. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna be fine.
Yeah.
And I think it has I think it's changing though, to be honest.
Yeah.
I mean, even here, I think it's the space in Long Beach has changed so much, even within the small business community.
It has, definitely.
Yeah. And you've been here for a while, right?
Yes, we opened in 2010, but started the process here about 2009. Wow. And I've lived in the East Village in this neighborhood since 2005. Yeah. And when I first moved in, you didn't walk past First Street. You didn't come in front of this building. So it's definitely changed.
You've seen it develop then, like in real time.
Yeah.
You've seen it. So this street right here has changed so much. I mean, I think I was talking on the phone with you the other day and I was even mentioning how I love that burger spot on the corner.
Yeah.
It's not there anymore, but all things are just always coming in, I feel. So, yeah.
And this neighborhood, most people don't know, about 90% of the businesses here are all women-owned. All the shops on First Street, the coffee shop, it's managed, the taco place is managed by a woman.
What?
So, so it's a very, like, we all support each other. It's a really good little, group
great.
that we're all here. We're all small businesses, mainly women, just banding together to support each other, which...
I think that's really cool. I think it's really cool too when like you can count on each other too.
Right.
I think that's really cool.
We have like an ongoing Instagram like message thread.
No way.
Oh, we saw this guy robbed us, or oh hey, we're looking at something for spring. What events do you want to do? How do we get the art walk back? How do we, especially rebuilding since the pandemic.
Yeah.
As it has changed a lot, that getting different events and getting together to cross promote and just remind people how beautiful it is right here.
That is so special.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
That is so cool. I got to check it out a little more. I haven't been back though in a while, and you're right, in this area too. So, and since the pandemic, things obviously did change. And we'll obviously get into that because I'm sure that we might need another interview just for the pandemic era.
Exactly.
I feel. But take me back a little bit. So where are you originally from?
I'm originally from Running Springs. It's a small little town in the mountains near Big Bear in the San Bernardino Mountains.
Yeah.
So teeny town. I think there's like 3,000 people.
That is so small.
Very small. I lived out, like we had no neighbors. I grew up, I had a horse. I spent every weekend, in the woods climbing trees or riding my horse.
Yeah. That is so cool. And we were talking about how you would go to the you had one grocery store, you would go get your things like.
Yeah, because the main grocery store, you either went down the mountain to like Redlands or you went across the mountain to Lake Arrowhead. Either one is like a 30-minute drive. Wow. So you'd go stock up and then there was a little market in town that mainly catered to tourists because it's a ski town.
Yeah.
So, but they had special pricing if you were local. So you're not spending, $5 for an apple that they're going to charge.
Yeah.
The-
Yeah, I've been up there.
Yeah.
It is $5 for an apple.
It is $5
It's
for an apple.
expensive.
Yeah, and it has to be to survive,
it.
to be there. But if that's your only option to run in and get salad, you can't,
Yeah, that's true.
But it was that sense of community
That's really cool, though.
was really good.
Yeah, but totally different than what we're used to now.
Yes.
I mean, now
Yeah.
it's like, I want something at my doorstep.
Oh, yeah.
There it is.
Yeah. I don't want to go to the grocery store. I'm going to have it delivered. So,
It's been a change for sure.
Yeah.
So you lived there until you were...
Till I graduated high school. And then I went to school in Santa Barbara. I went to UC Santa Barbara. And then I graduated with an English degree and had no idea what I was going to do with that. But up there, I worked in restaurants, and that's where I fell in love with wine because to start wine tasting in Santa Barbara, Los Olivos, San Ynez.
Oh my gosh,
So-
you got introduced to the best.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it was always just that sparked my passion. It was always just a side thing that I was interested in. I'd love to taste a new bottle and then research that grape, research where it came from.
Yeah.
So that kind of just started that love of food and wine, hospitality. So after I got my English degree, I had no idea what to do. So I went back and I got a degree in interior design, and I did restaurant and hospitality design.
Nice.
And that's what ultimately brought me to Long Beach.
Okay.
But I always had I kept a little file of recipes, wines, design ideas, what I wanted.
Yeah.
Something I was like, someday I want my own thing.
So you already knew at that point that you wanted to do something.
Yes.
Okay, got it.
Because I love creating space and I love creating a feeling through space and atmosphere.
Yeah.
And when I was living here, 2005, I was in my mid-20s. I was never a party person. So I'm more introverted. I tend to be more quiet. I want to go with a couple friends and have drinks.
Yeah.
Or have a bite and not have it turn into a party.
Yeah.
And there wasn't that space. So in my mind, I was like, if I ever get the opportunity, that's what I want.
Yeah. And that is so cool that you say that, just to kind of
Oh,
intercept
yeah,
a little bit, because that's exactly the feeling I got when I first came here. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's not too loud. It's, 'cause sometimes you just walk into a place and you're like, I can't even have a conversation.
Right.
It's perfect. And it's just, I don't know. I just got such a great feeling. And I just
Oh,
come here with my
good.
girlfriends and we all have a good time. We just chill, and then it's not a crazy night.
Yeah.
It's really, really cool.
Oh,
And then on
thank
top of that,
you.
we just have great selections of wine. But I like that. So
Yeah, thank
you
you.
have completed that
Wonderful.
because I feel it as a customer.
Good. And as a woman, I wanted to create a place that's comfortable for women to go on their own or in groups, because sometimes you go to a bar and you're bombarded by
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
And just, you don't feel comfortable.
Yeah.
But we get tons of women that come, they walk, they live in the neighborhood, and it's their safe spot
Yeah.
to come.
Yeah.
So that
Yeah.
always feels really good.
That's a really good feeling. I mean, you've been doing it for 14 years now, right?
Yeah.
So thank you, by the way.
You're welcome.
So you had a book and you knew you wanted to do something, but you didn't do it yet.
No.
Okay.
So there used to be a coffee shop right across the street where Burger Daddy was, the burger place. And I would sit there and look at this building. I was like, man, I just love that building. And it was a bookstore. So I used to come to that bookstore all the time. Then they closed. And I wrote down, they put a lease sign. And I wrote the number down in my notebook. I was like, if ever I get the chance, that's where I want it. And then, fast forward to 2008 and the recession.
Yeah.
And they closed my office here, my design firm.
Okay.
And I was like, well, that's kind of my last hurdle was I couldn't, you see the economic downturn. You're like, well, I'm going to hang on to this
Yeah.
job while I can. And then
Right.
once that was gone, I was like, well, I guess that was the last roadblock, kind of.
Yeah.
And I was young. I was 28 when I started it.
28.
So I didn't know any better. I guess, or I
think
didn't have
that's
anything to lose. I was
I
like,
think that's
this
the
is
part.
the time I don't, if I lose everything, I'm still
Yeah.
young. I don't have a family. I'm not married, no kids.
Yeah, it
What
kind of
is it,
is the perfect scenario.
It is.
I think that's very
Yeah.
true, because I think when you have things that you could lose, or someone else depends on you.
Right. And you're
especially-
responsible for
Yeah,
so
you
many
can't
things.
really take all those risks.
Right.
You have to be calculated.
Right.
And in this case, you're like, let's go.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So then how did that
So
unfold?
I had a good friend I had talked to about it, and he owned a design firm over on 4th Street. And he's like, I think this wine bar might be selling. And I was like, oh, that's perfect. Because I hadn't settled just a wine bar or restaurant or, And I was like, no, that's exactly what I want. I want small bites. I want,
Yeah.
But ultimately that didn't work out. And I was like, you know what? That isn't really my vibe, I guess, or my personality.
Yeah.
I want to start fresh. I want this. So
Ground
I
up.
just called the number and just went from there. Researched, all the permits, what it would take.
Yeah.
I sold my car. I sold pretty much anything of value I had.
That's badass.
I took a loan from my parents.
Yeah.
And my parents are like, well, it's business, so there's interest. Here's your payment schedule. If you don't pay, I will take your business. And I was like, okay.
Mad respect to them.
Yeah.
That's
And
really
so there was
good.
no gray area. There was no, I'll pay you back when I can. When I
Yeah.
can't, it was,
I love that.
you're
They treated it as
serious-
if you were getting a loan from a bank.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I had to give him a business plan and write everything out. And yeah.
I
and my,
really like
and my
that.
dad was like, I don't think you're going to make it, but I have faith in you. So I'll do it. He's like, that's a tough business.
I mean,
So,
and during that time, this is what, 2009?
2009.
Yeah.
But it was also the best and the worst time because I could get a low rent. The city was, people weren't
That is true.
busting down the
wanted you-
doors to get
Yeah.
businesses open at that time. So what
so
seemed
true.
like the most difficult time
Was actually
was a benefit.
yeah.
And in my back of my mind, I was like, if I can ride out these next 3 years,
Mm-hmm.
which in a recession and being a new business, then I
Yeah.
can get through anything.
That is actually
So.
that's a great way to look at it.
Yeah.
So, how were those 3 years?
They were better than expected. People really embraced us, and I think that speaks a lot to Long Beach because it is a community focused
Yeah.
place. It has that small town feel. People want to see small businesses do well. And we had our doors open when we're working in here, and I can't wait. What is it? Like, stop, talk to people. Really formed
Yeah.
a bond with the community right away.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
And I do get that sense a lot in Long Beach.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that I really do find beautiful here in Long Beach is they really advocate for small businesses.
They do.
I honestly see it. I mean, not to compare, but in different communities and cities, you don't see it as strong. And I do feel like there's a strength here for sure on that.
Yeah. And I think
Yeah.
there's a strong feeling for the independence and the small business more so when you see chain restaurants come in, people aren't over the moon about a new chain. They're like, oh, look at this small business or this second location of this other small business.
Yeah.
People
Yeah,
are really
very
excited
supportive.
about that. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm sure you have a lot of locals that have been coming here for years now that
Yeah. I have some
basically
that
know
have
you.
come from the first day that still come. Like,
such a
I'm in
good
a
feeling.
book club and they are all customers I met from here.
Oh, that is so cool.
Yeah. And I see some people, they stop by a glass of wine on their walk home. I see them more than I see my closest friends. Talk to them more. I know more about their daily life.
Yeah.
And they probably know more about my daily life than.
Then yeah, your
Then-
your circle. Let's
Right,
say.
exactly.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, that is so cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so those 3 years, you better than expected. You get through them.
Yeah.
And then it just continues. And I'm sure I actually was going to ask you too, when it comes to the space, you were an interior designer. So I'm sure this was a beautiful playground.
It was.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we did a lot of restaurants in China at the time when I was doing hotel work. And they very much liked a sense of space within a space. So we did a lot of little intimate tea lounges, VIP dining areas. And I loved the idea of not having just an open restaurant. So I set it up like this.
Yeah.
And here, where it's
Yeah.
you have a lounge where you can sit and just relax. You have these comfy chairs.
Gotta talk about these
Yes.
soon.
But if you want something more lively, you sit in the front, and
Yeah.
it's cocktail seating, and you can stand and walk around. There's the bar, so it's, you know, whatever
Yeah.
mood you're feeling that day.
I know.
Hopefully, you have a
That is so
spot
true.
that you can be comfortable in.
I do remember when I came in with my friend,
Mm-hmm.
my best friend actually, I don't know why, again, we were just walking and we were like, let's just pop in here. This place is so good.
Oh, nice.
And we just popped in here. But I remember just seeing this at night, this little space
Mm-hmm.
step back here. And I'm like, I don't know why, but like, I feel like I want to be in that room.
Yeah.
Like I feel like it's like, maybe I'm more reserved today. I'm more of like my introverted self today that night.
Right.
And I was like, I don't feel like being out too much with people or like that people see me. I kind of want to be hidden in a way. But it was so beautiful though, the lighting and everything. But I like that you said that there's a space for everybody depending on like what you're looking for.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there's other days where I'm like, you know what? No, I want to socialize and I'm
Yeah.
a social butterfly. I'll be out there.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So that's a really good, I guess, like experience you had that that got into here.
It did. Yeah.
Okay. And then I have to circle back to these chairs because you told me the story with these chairs.
Yes.
And we got to give a shout out to your mom.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
these are
yeah,
comfortable,
these
by the
beautiful wingback leather chairs. My mom, I was looking everywhere, and we didn't have a high budget like we had. You know, we had no budget really.
Yeah.
But for some reason, this was a really important piece to me. Like I wanted that comfortable library chair you can just
Yeah.
sink into.
Yeah.
And she searched everywhere and found them on sale through Sears, of all places.
Sears. Remember Sears?
Yeah. Ordered them, got all 4 for the cost of like one chair. And they only sent 3. And they're like, oh, well, we don't have 3. We don't have 4. We only have 3. And she goes, no, I brought 4. You need to find it. And she tracked it down and got me all 4 of these.
And I mean, and since then, so 14 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
I like it. I really did like these chairs. Yeah. I think immediately we were kind of like, can we use those chairs for the interview? Yeah. So that is really cool. Shout out to your mom.
Yeah.
She's, you always need someone on your team who will
Yes.
just get it done.
Right. And especially for me, she would always do that.
Oh, that's really
She actually passed away last year. So.
Oh, I'm so sorry about that.
Yeah, but she lives
But,
on in everything
hey,
we do here.
But
yeah,
look, we're talking
so.
about her and
Yeah.
and something beautiful that's still here from her. So that's really cool.
And whenever at the end of the day, when I sit down with a glass of wine,
Yeah.
I always sit in these chairs and I always think of her. So it's a great,
I love that.
full circle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it. Okay, so then we're already into your business. You already have things moving, basically, right? Community accepted, well, not accepted, but community has
Yeah.
embraced you.
Yes.
And at one point, do you feel like, because I not everything is roses and butterflies. Like
No.
it's a constant grind.
Yes.
So how does it feel as a business owner? You have your dream come true, right? But that doesn't mean it's over. It takes so much work. So
It
like
does.
hiring process, like to trust people with your baby.
Right.
How was that experience for you? Because this is your first time being
It
a
is.
business owner. You
Yeah.
just dived in. So how was that? What was that like?
It's the best and the worst all rolled into one package. Like
Yeah.
some of my former staff and current staff are like family. I love them dearly. I still keep in contact with some of the people that opened the restaurant with me. Like I know their families. I know, 14 years. But then there's other times where you put your trust in people and it's a misplaced trust. And that can be heartbreaking.
Yeah. Especially with people that
Right.
you connected with, but
Exactly.
you also have to separate that and go into business.
Exactly.
Right?
And that
that's
is
hard.
tough when you work day in and day out with people.
Yeah.
So you develop like a relationship, but then when it comes to having to be the boss and say, no, that's not allowed, I have to write you up, or
Yeah.
you've missed too many of your shifts, you can no longer work here. It's,
Yeah.
it's very, very difficult.
Yeah, I
Or-
will say that's been probably one of the most difficult things as a business owner, especially when you know I don't know about you, but like when you know their families and you know that they're the ones who bring in the money, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
that is probably one of the worst experiences I've
It
had.
is.
Having to let go of someone who I actually like as a person, but as in business, it's not working out.
Right.
That's a hard
Yeah.
thing. How do you feel having to do that?
Oh, I feel off. I feel gutted.
Yeah,
know,
I think that's a
it's
great word, gutted.
Because you have to go, you can't be their friend.
Mm-hmm.
Or I like to mother everybody, and I can't be their mother. I have to, at the bottom line, you have to look out for your business
Yeah.
and yourself. And by doing that, you're looking out for your other employees because there's
Absolutely.
other people that rely on you for their income. And if there's someone
Yeah.
that's undermining their ability to earn, the ability for the business to grow,
Yeah.
it's just no longer a good fit.
That is true.
Yeah.
I don't know if this ever happened. I'm sure it has. I mean, I think everything has happened in 14 years. There's probably nothing new that has happened, right?
No.
But
Well, I think that, but then, you never know.
that's true. A pandemic happened.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Pandemic.
let's deal with that. But I think one of the hardest things that's happened too is that, or not the hardest things, but the worst things that happened is when you let one thing slide and then another employee gets kind of butthurt about it. They're like, well, you let them slide. So then it creates this horrible cycle
It does.
because it just, there's resentment and then there's like, well, why me? And then not them. And
Yeah. And then there's if you're not going to, they don't do it, so I'm not going to do it.
yeah.
I used to do work at this level, but this person's here and you're not making them bump up,
Yeah.
whether they can or not.
Yeah.
And then it just,
I think I learned that the hard way though.
Yeah.
Because instead of addressing it with one person and maybe losing one person, by letting it continue to happen, I lost two people because the other one started slacking and started showing that, and it sucks. Because
does.
if you had just addressed it in the first place, you wouldn't have lost the second person.
Exactly.
Maybe. Yeah.
And I think that's the biggest lesson I've learned being a business owner is that you can't let things slide. It
Yeah.
won't get better on its own. And if you don't address it, nobody else will.
Yeah.
And I'm not by nature a confrontational person. So that has been
It's been
good learning curve for me.
I think so. I think,
And-
well, I mean, everything that you've experienced here has to be, it's a learning lesson,
Yeah.
even in life.
Yeah.
I mean, has that helped you also confrontation wise, like even in your personal stuff?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
100%. Like, I'm not going to let things just fester. I'm just,
Yeah.
because that's worse, because I think about it. How many nights of sleep are you going to lose before you get to the same result? Because
Yeah.
you already know the answer. You just don't
Yeah,
maybe want to accept it.
absolutely.
So,
I think
I
so.
think if you, approach everything with integrity and decency and respect, that's the best you can do.
Yeah,
But-
absolutely. I think that's a great tip too for people, business owners or not. So has there ever been a time, well, I'm sure that's a terrible way to start that question. I mean, do you recall a specific time where you, even maybe during the setup of this, of creating District Wine, that you were ready to just throw in the towel and just be like, you know what? No, I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Is
a-
there
you
like a
know.
specific memory where you just like where everything is just going wrong and nothing is making sense and you're just like, you know what? I'm almost done.
Yeah.
Like I'm like reaching my point to throw in the towel.
Yeah, I think there's been two major times. One was I went through a divorce,
Okay.
and dealing with all of that personal
Personal stuff.
stuff and having to be here for the business, for the staff, put on a happy face, and
Yeah.
then being here because I do have a personal connection. Getting all those personal connections or questions at work, there was
Oh,
no
yeah.
separation. There was no, I'm going to go to work to escape from my
Yeah.
private life. That
Yeah.
was everything all tumbled together. And I was like, I just want to run away.
Yeah.
I just want to drop everything and
Yeah. That
not
must be
do
hard.
it. Yeah.
Especially because it was all, it was all wrapped up together.
It was all wrapped up
Yeah.
together. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So that was a very difficult.
Yeah.
But
And so you
then-
were almost there.
Yeah.
To just walk away.
But then I'd walk in and it is my baby. Like you said, it was my idea, my blood, sweat, and tears. Like my mom got these chairs.
Yeah.
My dad built these wine racks that I designed. My brother did the brick wall. I sanded this floor and stained it. I painted the ceiling. I painted everything in this spot. I was like, you know
It's all
what?
you. Yeah. This is you.
I was not going to let a momentary struggle steal that from me when I had already lost so much. I was like, no.
Yeah.
I'm done letting people take things from me. So,
yeah. It's kind of you sticking up for yourself and saying, no.
Yeah.
This is it.
I think those times when you're ready to throw in the towel and you don't is where you learn the most.
Yeah.
And you learn what you can handle, what you can hand off.
Yeah.
I had an amazing staff, and I would be like, you know what, I physically can't be here today. So I need you to take care of this. And it was no problem.
Wow.
You know, they took care of a lot
That
with no question, because
That's awesome.
when you take that time to connect with your team too, they are family. They are there to help you.
And they'll show up
when
for
you
you.
need it. Yeah.
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 That's really, and do you mind me asking how long ago this was? This moment?
That was 2017.
2017. Okay. Ooh, 2017. And then just a few years later,
Just a few
you're
years
hit
later,
with,
we get the pandemic.
was
which-
that going to be the second time that you were going to you said there was 2 times where you were ready to throw in the towel.
Actually, not
Oh, wow.
during the pandemic, because it was amazing to see the support that people. I mean, it was crushing financially, emotionally, and physically. But to see how much people cared and that they made such an effort to keep their wine club, even though they couldn't get their benefits, you know, to order cases of wine. I did like pizza kits, and they're like, oh, we will do our movie and pizza nights
Yeah.
every Friday because we love you and we don't want you to go away. You
Oh,
know,
wow.
the building, they were amazing. They didn't charge me rent when we couldn't sell anything. And they're like,
That's really
just pay what you can.
Yeah.
We want you here. So to feel that love and support,
Oh man, that's got to be a great
it was amazing.
Yeah.
And then, you know, that people would go out of their way for you just because they wanted you to be there when all this was over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then when that feeling of things were, or at least you can open your doors, that must have been a really good feeling.
It was.
To then everyone come in and be like, we're back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the second time was actually more recently. It was after, you know, you get through that pandemic and it's like, okay, I can do it. It's really hard. And you pin your hope on like 2022, 2023.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, wait, it's not back yet. And there's inflation and costs, and the labor market totally changed.
Yeah.
People's patterns changed. So you're still like, you were kind of in that survival mode and you thought you could get out of it.
Yeah.
But the not getting out of it, I think it was that. And then just staffing has been an issue since the pandemic.
Yeah.
It's been a lot harder. And I'm a single mom. I have my daughter 100% of the time.
Oh, good.
So when people call out sick, I'm it.
Yeah.
I'm the dishwasher, the cook, the front of house person, you
Right.
know, and so then I'm dragging my daughter with me. She's like, please, I don't want to go to work today.
Oh.
Or don't miss my violin lesson.
Yeah.
And I had 2 people call out sick that day. And I was like,
Oh man.
I don't know if I can be there. And
Yeah.
and then you have that question, like, you know, which baby deserves more attention? And you know,
Absolutely.
so that pull,
Yeah.
I think, and
That's
it's
gotta
gonna
be
make me
such
tear
a-
up. But that was like, what do I want my life to be? Is it this sacrificing my family, or is it maybe I get a job and I can see my daughter on Saturday and Sunday?
Yeah.
So-
Oh, that's really
Sorry.
heavy.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, but
That
like in a
took
good, like in
turn,
a,
but,
no, but
you
that,
know, it's
that
like,
really
okay,
resonates.
what
Like,
is my
wow.
priority here?
Yeah.
And-
But I think a lot of people don't, maybe from the outs, you know, and I think that's quite a question too, in the sense of what do you think people don't see?
Yeah.
Like from the outside, they see you, right?
Right.
Your customers come in and they're lovely
Right.
and they see you and you have a smile on, but sometimes the community doesn't know what you're going through.
Right.
You know, and they don't know the sacrifices you've had to make.
Yeah.
You know, and
Yeah.
like you said, which baby? This is
Right.
your baby when you were 28, when you had nothing to lose, like you
Right.
said, and now you have a family, you have everything.
Exactly. And
wow.
back then it was like, I'm fine to work. I'll work 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 days and then I'll take a break.
Yeah, what's
and
burnout?
you're like, I'm tired. But
Yeah.
it's not
Yeah,
that pull.
absolutely.
Like I want to be here, but I want to be there, and there isn't that middle ground.
So this was 2022, 2023, the aftershock really of the pandemic.
Yeah.
Because I don't think a lot people from the outside who are not business owners realize that during the pandemic, it was just to survive. It was just to not lose the place.
Yeah,
honestly.
you're not
profiting.
paying yourself. You're not
no.
making any money. You're just trying.
Yeah, and you're trying to keep staff too.
Yeah.
I mean, and we just tried to keep staff in
Yeah.
my business, and
Yeah.
I'm like, we're not profiting here. We're just trying to keep the doors open every day.
Right.
And the aftershock of it is that there's inflation. There's now we're trying to find staff. We're trying to find people we trust too, and it was so hard to find.
It was,
It's
and there
it
was a
still
lot
is,
of
kind of.
movement.
Yeah.
Because I'm still very fortunate. I still have a lot of staff that's been here for several years that rode through the pandemic with me.
Yeah.
Pre-pandemic, they came back, but before that, I had people on my team for 4, 5, 6 years.
Yeah.
And then now it's like someone gets a job, they're like, oh, I found something else 3 months later.
Yeah.
Oh, 2 months. Oh, I don't want to do this. I'm moving. And you're like, okay, I get it. Okay.
But I'm like jumping out of my seat.
Yeah.
I'm like, right? I just had that happen like a few weeks ago. I had someone in January, and then they're like, oh, I found something else. I think this is what I want to do. Okay. But a lot of people don't realize that it takes investment. Like we're investing in
time,
training them,
money,
in
energy,
oh my gosh, everything.
And then you start at ground zero again. You're like, oh my
and
God.
to lose them 2 months later, a year, even like 6 months later, I'm like,
Yeah.
do you have any idea how much time and money it took to just get you to, be here?
Right.
So I think hopefully people can understand that sometimes from our
Yeah.
point of view.
Yeah.
Put yourself in our position a little more, and that it takes a lot of effort. So so it's the aftershock, and it's kind of like, okay, we were just trying to survive. We're doors open now, but now more hurdles.
Right.
Right. And then so you were feeling like, again, this is too much. I want to spend time with my daughter, but I have to be here. And did you find a solution?
I did. So I hired my first full-time manager about a month and a half ago.
Oh, very recent.
So very recently.
Okay.
And it feels great.
How was that? How was that process though? To really, first you came to the decision of that this is what I need to do in order to have both things that I want.
Right.
And then what's your process like to find somebody to interview? Like, what is that process like?
Well, I feel so fortunate and so grateful that the person I hired, she actually worked here for 8 years.
Oh.
And I had just promoted her to manager a week before the pandemic started. And then because of family and health and, everything, during that time, everything is so confusing. And so she ended up moving, but we stayed in contact.
Yeah.
We meet for coffee anytime she was back in town, always stayed in contact.
Yeah.
And we were meeting for coffee just randomly, like, oh, hey, you want to catch up? And we were talking. I was like, you know what? I really need a manager. And I said, there's only 2 people that I would have ever thought, I'm just throwing it out there, is you and this other person who took on tons of responsibility pre-pandemic and who I still keep in contact with. And she goes, oh, wow, I'm interviewing for a manager position at this other, because she had been a manager at another restaurant. She goes, I didn't have any place for growth there. So I was looking at this other place.
Okay.
And I said, well, if you'd consider it, laid out some things. And then she called me the next day. I was like, yeah, I'm in. I love it. I love district. I think there's a lot of options. There's a lot of room for growth.
Yeah.
Because as I step back, I really want her to take ownership.
Yeah.
And
wow, that's a really
so things I feel like the universe, you put it out there and it comes around.
I think that speaks a lot too to how you keep relationships though. I mean, she didn't work here anymore. She moved and did other things, but the fact that you just even kept in touch and that says a lot about someone who left on good terms.
Yes.
And I think that's so important because you never know what's going to happen.
No.
And I think that's such a great lesson for everybody is try to leave a relationship always in good terms.
Exactly.
Whether they leave on their own or you have to,
Right. And I think a lot of times that as a business owner, it's easy to take it personal if they leave. But if you look at everybody needs growth. Everybody is looking for something, just like you were looking for something when you left your job, when you started a business. And to begrudge anybody opportunities doesn't help you at all.
I agree.
And everybody's at a different spot in their life.
Yeah. And look at that moment right there. So that is really, and I would like to, kind of talk a little more on that subject, which is you taking a step back, right? How did you feel about really, okay, it's one thing to say it, and then it's one thing to actually do it. And the only reason I'm getting into the subject is because I have that. I've had to do that.
Yeah.
Where I'm in control of everything. All decisions are on me. And then I hire someone, and now I have to release control, and I have to trust them to really make certain decisions. Not all decisions, because those really, the big decisions come to you.
Right.
But how was that? Like, do you think you stepped into that pretty?
I stepped into it easier than I thought I would. Because, as a business owner, you do everything. And I know that my business will be better if I don't do everything. If I handle the big things, I can't grow the business and do the events and the tastings and do all of the things I want to do if I'm in the minutia every day.
Absolutely.
So every time
tip.
I get like, ooh, I can do that, I think, no, I don't need to do that. She can handle that.
Yeah.
She needs to handle it so I can do
Bigger
something
picture
else.
things too, and to be able to provide that growth that she was also looking for.
Right, because
That
if I
makes so
don't
much
give her the
sense.
opportunity, she won't stay, because that's not what she doesn't want to just be told, given a list of things to do every day.
No,
She won't, and nobody does.
No,
Like,
someone wants to exercise their brain and their
Right.
ability to manage and their ability to lead.
Right.
And so I think that's really the fact that you're stepping, back just a little as a leader is helping her become a leader. I think that is so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and helping me be a better business owner and have a better business.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Because I can do all the things. I have a running list of pipe dream things I want to work on for here. But I can't ever get to it because I'm doing the day in and day out stuff.
Yeah, day-to-day things.
Yeah.
Okay. So there are more plans for district-wide. then. Okay.
Yeah.
Anything
It's
you can
like
share?
we do catering, and I've never really grown it because I haven't had the time to do that. I would love to do more wine education classes, do more wine dinners, pairings, things like that. I haven't reached out to the hotels or fully used. I'm a member of the CVB, the Convention Visitors Bureau, and they're a beautiful resource that I don't access or use because
Because if you're busy here doing everything, and then on top of that, when you're done, you want to go spend time with your daughter.
Exactly.
And then it's like where it's left.
Right.
Okay.
So
That is
I'm
cool.
I'm
and
excited.
I honestly had no idea you did catering, so that's
Yeah.
freaking perfect.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So that leads us to here. And I mean, I think that's a really good, I think we went through such a perfect kind of like thing there. But so when it comes to your daughter, if you don't mind talking about her a little bit, what do you think she thinks of seeing you working here? Like, does she have fun here? Does she everyone I'm
does.
sure knows her, obviously. And like, what is it like
Yeah.
to bring your daughter now? Because you said how you were 28, this was your first baby, and then now you're bringing your baby
My baby
here.
baby. Yeah.
So
It's-
like, how much does she know too about like what you've put in? I know she's 9, right?
She's
Yeah.
9.
Yeah.
Yeah. She knows a lot. And
Okay.
she sees the struggle. And she sees when I'm frustrated or like, oh no, so-and-so called in sick. So we're going to work today. And she goes, oh, okay.
Yeah.
But she's great. She loves to draw and write. So she usually sits at a little table over there and I'll sit there with her. We'll have dinner and I'll have her taste the menu and go like, oh, how does that taste? Do you like this? Or what presentation do you like when I bring her in and work on recipes and things like that?
Nice. Okay.
So,
Okay.
and she
that's
goes,
so cute.
oh, I'm so proud of you. She goes, who's your boss? And I said, oh, I'm my boss. And
Yeah.
she goes, wait, you're your boss?
Yeah.
What if you mess up? Who's going to fire you? I was like, nobody. I guess, if I mess up a lot, my business just won't do well,
Yeah.
But
I know.
that
is interesting though. If I don't do well, it just means no one
I
fires me. That
fired
means those doors close.
myself, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay,
But,
that's really sweet though.
yeah.
I think that's a really, really beautiful thing though. I don't know why that resonated with me. That just kind of like stuck with me. The fact that you started your baby and now you have
Yeah.
one, and it's really.
Well,
I think
and-
it's going to be really cool seeing her grow
Yeah.
up too, while you grow this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I like that she sees that you can do whatever you want to do. And she goes, well, will I run the wine bar someday? I was like, well, if you want to. Are you interested in that? She goes, no. I'm like, okay. That's good to know.
Yeah.
I told my parents I would never own my own business.
You did?
Yeah. I was like, this is ridiculous.
And
then here I am, because I do like the freedom of it.
Yeah.
It's so much work, and often you're on call all the time, but every bit of effort you put in, you see that reward. And there's
even those moments when you're like, why did I do what? Do you ever just wake up and you're like, why did I choose this?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then something happens and you're like,
That's
why.
why.
Or
Yeah.
you see a customer come in, or you see just like a
Exactly.
full house and you're just like,
Yeah.
this is a great feeling.
And I still walk in and I'm like, oh my God, this is mine. Like,
Yeah.
I created this, and that it feels amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And to stop, on a busy night and look around and just be proud of yourself, which I think as a business owner, you don't stop and look at what you've created.
I agree.
Because I had a friend tell me that, and he's like, do you ever look at what you're doing? And I was like, no. All I see is what I forgot to do, or what.
Yeah.
And he goes, why don't you just stop and look and see if people are having fun? Look at people's faces. And it's like, oh,
Yeah.
that's why
Yeah.
you do it. Because I am creating that space. I'm creating a moment of, refuge for people.
Absolutely. I mean,
And-
yeah, absolutely. I
Yeah.
mean, like I told you earlier, I'm like, this was a place that I came into where I got a feeling, a sense of like, I think things are going to be okay. That's what your place, did for me.
you.
And I think I said thank you earlier, but I said thank you again, because
Thank
it
you.
is that. And I do hope that you feel those proud moments more and more and more.
Yeah. But I think as a business owner, it's important to stop and
Yeah.
give yourself a pat on the back. Yeah.
I think actually jumping off that a little bit, how did you feel about taking breaks and vacations? Because you just came back from one.
This was the most relaxing one I've ever had.
Yeah?
Because I fully trusted my manager
manager.
to be here.
Yeah.
And it was the first time I only just checked in every once in a while.
Ooh, that's nice. So you were actually present in your vacation.
I
You were
was.
present and enjoying it.
Yeah.
And you were with your daughter, which
Yeah.
is the best part.
It was.
obviously. That's really good.
But in the past, it has been such a struggle to get everything together to be gone that it's just a matter of recuperating from preparing for the vacation.
yeah. Yeah,
So-
actually, I agree with that.
You're
Yeah.
like, oh, I'm so exhausted. It was so difficult to leave.
Yeah.
That,
Yeah. It's so funny too, because one of my girls from my office yesterday, she was telling my partner that, and I'm like, did you really have to tell her that? But she was telling her how, Natasha was still connected online, right? One, you were in Cancun. And I was just like, do you really have to tell her? Because
Yeah.
apparently I'm just always connected, and I maybe need to do that, like not be so, actually allow myself to check out and to enjoy and to be present in the moment. So I aspire to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think from that moment when I was like, what do I choose? What do I do?
Yeah.
I was like, I know I can't continue the way I am right now. So I
Yeah.
did try, and it's
Yeah.
still a process of,
It is.
okay, I'm going to put my phone down. That email could wait. I'm not going to check my email after 7:00.
Yeah. Oh,
Nobody else is going to be checking their email. So I tend to wake up early.
Okay.
So I'm like, if I send that email tonight at 7 or tomorrow at 6 a.m., it's really not that big of a difference.
Yeah,
So
no.
don't beat
Still
yourself
gonna
up
be at the
about
top.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have dinner,
Okay, good.
chill out,
Yeah.
and
Just relax.
just relax.
Enjoy yourself. Reward yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I do want to ask you one question though, because you highlighted earlier how even in this area right here, it's a lot of women business owners. And so what's been your experience with as being a women business owner? I mean, I'm sure that you've had people tell you what to do and how to do it. How has that been for you?
It's interesting because you go into, you're like, well, I'm just a business owner. You don't, I didn't think of it as anything different. But then you get people that go, oh, no, you can't own a restaurant. Women don't own bars. When I was married, you're the owner's wife. Ooh, no, I'm not.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because and I was young, especially. It's like you're too young to own something like this. And even like I got that 3 weeks ago.
No way.
Yeah. And I thought, well, it's like, well, thank you. In a
You're
way.
like, well, thank you.
But no, I do own it. So
Yeah.
that's not impossible.
So it's constantly happening.
Yeah.
Like even if you've had it 14 years, you've shown that this place is yours, that this place is, can survive anything really. And yet there's still some doubt that comes in from other people.
Right.
How do you let that not, or have you exercised it enough that it doesn't affect you, or does it still bother you?
It still bothers me because it feels like something that should be a non-issue, even
I agree.
though it's not.
Yeah.
But I also know that the people asking those questions or thinking those things aren't worth my time to argue with. And the only way I can prove them wrong is by being a successful women business owner.
Yeah, I agree.
And whatever they think, and that's none of my business.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
I totally get that. Yeah.
To not waste my energy on trying to prove something to somebody who probably isn't going to change their mind anyway.
Yeah. I mean, has it happened to you too, where sometimes you have to consider the source as well? And it's like, who's telling you that? One,
Right.
I mean, even if they were another business owner, but are they even in the same industry as you? Or are they, and
Right.
why are they saying it? And
Right.
what's really going on with them that makes them feel insecure about the fact that you're successful and you've had this place longer than them probably?
Right.
But I think it's always important to consider the source too. And sometimes I'm like, I don't even know you. I don't know who you are. What
Right.
makes you feel like you have an opinion over my business or me or what I'm capable of?
Right.
Too. And I think that's one thing that I learned a lot is always consider the source. Who's telling you these things?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. And so I'm sure you've had those conversations with all the other women business owners in this, well, I'm sure all over, but this street right here.
Yeah.
And I think that's really cool that you've all really supported each other.
Yeah.
Because even though you can have the same, even though you're in different industries and all that, it feels so good to feel that sense of community that someone has your back.
Yeah.
I think that's
Yeah.
really important to know that you can find that. And I don't ever want people to think that because you're a business owner that it has to be competitive.
No.
I don't think that's a good idea that people have.
No.
I don't think that's necessary. It's
and-
not competition. It's you're helping each other.
Exactly.
Someone here is probably going to go to your place, and someone from there is probably going to pop in here.
Exactly.
But I don't like the sense of competition.
No. And I think you don't want to be I don't want to be the one restaurant on this street or the one bar on this street because,
Yeah.
you want people that come to the neighborhood. They might come for the restaurant across the street and they see you for the first time because they didn't know you were here.
Yeah.
Or they come and they park their car or they Uber to the neighborhood and they have multiple things to walk around and do.
Yeah.
They might be here all day. Tell their friends, oh, go shopping here, grab dinner at Thai District and grab a glass of wine after. Make it an event instead of just a one-stop shop.
Yeah.
Nobody benefits
No, nobody.
if you try to undercut everybody else.
Yeah. I agree
And
with
I
that.
think too, being a business owner can be isolating because you have your full staff, but you're still alone in the decision making and in the struggles that you go through.
Yeah.
So if you don't make those connections with other business owners,
That's true.
you are just kind of in your own bubble operating and not realizing that person that owns that retail shop is struggling with the same thing.
Yeah.
You can think, oh, I can't keep staff. Everybody is struggling with the same thing,
Yeah.
Totally
different industries.
Totally
It's like
different
I'm
industry.
coming from a bookkeeping, tax preparation side, but yet we're both like, yeah, it was hard to find people. It was
Yeah.
hard to find just someone you can trust, someone who can show up on time.
Right.
Show, like,
Yeah.
I'm not asking for a lot. I'm just asking you to show up 10 minutes early, please.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that's a really good point to make on the show right now, is that, you know, you can find support. It's good to find support because if anything, you can even bounce ideas off each other too. And like you guys do, you create events together.
Right.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
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 Why wouldn't someone want to experience something like that?
Exactly.
Yeah. So and that's why one of the reasons why, I mean, one of the main reasons this show is happening. It's also so other business owners don't feel alone, and there's day-to-day things that happen that you can get, you know, advice on.
Right.
You know? Or when you're ready to throw in the towel, it's like, don't.
Yeah.
Something is on the other side too, but
Right.
it also teaches you how to be resilient. And I think that's something that you've learned in the 14 years.
Yes.
Most, right?
Yeah.
I would say is like, you're resilient.
Right.
Yeah.
And you're stronger than you think you are, and you can do
100%.
more than you think you can.
Yeah.
Just don't give up on yourself, and don't give up on your business. There's a reason
Yeah.
you started it.
Yeah.
And to find that reason, don't lose sight of it. Because
Yeah.
you can get stuck in the day to day and you
Yeah.
forget
Yeah, I agree with that.
what that spark was. And take
Yeah.
a vacation, because then you come back and you're very excited to get back to work.
I
And
know. Why don't people take a day off too? Sometimes if vacation, okay, you can plan one, but I also feel like the sense of burnout is way too common, and I think we do it the most
Right.
because we want to be in control, or we want to keep doing things like fixing everything, but that burnout will get to you.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Like, and it'll knock you down, and it'll take you out for more days than you should. Then you could have taken one day off, but because you burned yourself out, now you're required to take like 4 days off.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The burnout game is just not my
No.
thing anymore.
No.
The whole I could work 7 days a week, I can work all day. It's and energy drinks, and I'm like, no, that doesn't work
No.
anymore.
No.
Especially as you get older.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now that I'm in my 30s, I'm like, no, I
Yeah.
can't do that.
Yeah. And then not feeling guilty for it. The guilt.
I'm working on that.
Yeah, I'm still working on that.
I'm working
but-
on that so much. The
Yeah.
guilt of not replying to an email or to, you know, say I'm not gonna respond today is hard.
It is.
It is.
And then just letting it go, not beating yourself up about it.
Yeah. And
But
then
you're
the
not
fact that you're
going
having
to-
a good time and you're like, why am I not?
Yeah.
It sucks because then sometimes your good time gets ruined because you're thinking of that and you're
Right.
feeling guilty for it
Exactly.
and you're not present.
Right.
Yeah.
And you're not recuperating and giving yourself the break because you're mentally still working.
Yeah. Oh, man.
It's a struggle.
We need help. I always say that as business, I mean, to be a business owner, there's something a little wrong with you, but in a good way. Like there's just, for you to choose this every day
Yeah.
is just, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do have one more question, and it's regarding here. And it's, what is your go-to, like, actually, there's probably two questions. What's your favorite thing on the menu, and what have you noticed that it's the customer's favorite thing on the menu? Like
Ooh.
food-wise. Let's start with food.
Food-wise?
Yeah. What would you recommend?
I would recommend it's actually my go-to and the customer's go-to.
Oh, okay.
And it's a weird recipe. It's a pea tapenade. So it's like a hummus made from peas, garlic, Parmesan, olive oil.
Oh, my gosh, I haven't had that.
It is delicious and it's weird.
No, but
You know, people go, oh, pea tapenade. Why do I want to go to a wine bar and eat peas? But it's delicious. It's fresh. It's bright.
okay.
You can drink it with red wine, white wine.
Okay.
Perfect to share.
Yeah.
But it's something I always recommend because people see it and they go, oh,
I have to try that.
Weird.
I didn't try that last
Yeah.
time. And I feel like I've tried a lot of things.
I
don't
keep
think
it, I
tried
put
that.
it on my happy hour menu just
Okay.
because then it forces people to try it. So like, it's like half
That's
price.
smart. That's
Just
smart.
give it a try.
Yeah.
And I have not had, in my experience in 14 years, a single customer that goes, I don't like that. Usually they go, I hate peas, and this
And
is my
then-
favorite thing.
Wow.
So-
Okay. Because peas isn't something you would order regularly.
No,
It's not something
and it's
you're
not
like,
something
I
you
want.
see on the menu, and you're like,
How long has that been on the menu now?
that has been on the menu about 13 years. And I keep thinking maybe I'll take it off, but
No way. 13 years? Okay. And did you make that? Like,
Yeah.
you created that?
yeah.
Oh, that is so cool.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I have to try that.
Yes, you do.
Probably gonna come over this weekend.
Perfect.
Okay, and then I mean, I asked you what your go-to wine select. What's your go-to wine?
My go-to wine is a Côte d'Aron
Okay.
from France, the Côte d'Aron region of France. It's usually a Syrah and Grenache blend. It's kind of medium bodied. Has a little bit of like bright raspberry fruit up front, but then a nice earthy spice on the finish.
Okay. That's your go-to.
That's my go-to.
Yeah.
But-
and that's obviously here. You
Yes.
can order it
Yes.
with the peas.
With the pea tapenade.
pea tapenade.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to order both of those the next time I'm here.
Perfect.
And then, I mean, do you have just do you keep the same wines? Do you rotate? How does that work?
So
if you don't mind me
I
asking?
rotate all
Okay.
the time. I like to feature being a woman-owned business. I feature women-owned wineries, women winemakers. I have like a woman-owned cider, which is
Oh my
very
gosh.
weird. There
so
are
popular now.
Yeah, but there aren't a lot of women in the beer and cider.
I have noticed
You
that.
know,
Yeah.
So when I find a new woman-owned business, I like to bring them in.
Yeah.
And
oh,
I
you bring
do-
them in and like,
Yeah, so
you'll
I did
actually-
Olivia Bryan Wines as a woman-owned winery. She came down and did a tasting with us,
That is so
so that was
cool.
great.
Okay.
And
You have a newsletter. Do
I
you have
do.
a newsletter?
I do have a
Because I
newsletter.
got to sign up for it
Yeah.
and know about these events. So
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
people can sign up to the newsletter and know about. Do you usually do monthly events?
I usually do monthly events,
okay.
and we have a wine club here. So wine club members for our tasting events get in for free, which is always fun.
Okay.
And then I do tastings every week, so I bring in new wines for our wine tasting. So the buy the glass list is constantly changing.
Okay.
But I have my staples that people love and that
Yeah.
I love.
That you'll never.
You will
you'll-
always find a Côte d'Aron
Yeah.
on the bottle list and the glass list.
Okay. I have to try that next
yeah.
time. I don't think I've tried a Côte d'Aron before.
Oh.
I don't think so. It hasn't been that recent, but it's just like I'm getting into the wine a lot. I've
Yeah.
noticed that I'd much rather have a glass of wine than a cocktail.
Yeah.
Like at this point. And
Yeah.
I don't know if that's just, I don't know what happened.
Yeah.
It just happened.
Yeah.
I think you just grow up and I don't know, it just sounds more appealing to have wine with my dinner, with snack or something instead of
Right.
a cocktail. So I'm just become a fan. And
Oh,
so, yeah, I definitely have to try more. And I really want to come to the tastings.
Oh, that'd
and
be
I'll learn
great.
more too.
And
So I
I-
definitely like to learn about it.
And that's the fun part. That's why I fell in love with wine in the first place. Is there's so much to learn,
Yeah.
and it's so different from year to year, region to region.
Yeah.
You know, and it's fascinating that it's really an agricultural product that someone has grown and nurtured and takes in all the flavors from, you know, the soil, from the granite, from the limestone. And if the more you taste, the more you can pick up that nuanced flavor profile.
Yeah.
And then how that totally changes when you pair it with different foods. You can bring out aspects in wine that weren't there before you ate it with that cheese and
Yeah.
vice versa. So it's
Yeah.
just fascinating.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
So it's definitely how it all began when you said you had that notebook too. Well, actually, no, when you were in Santa Barbara, and that's how it all
Yeah.
started.
Yeah.
Right? Okay, cool. Is there anything from that time in Santa Barbara that's here?
Not from that time, but I do have a Santa Barbara wine on our bottle list right now.
Okay, so, nice.
Yeah.
Well, then I'm super excited. I might just come back this weekend.
Nice.
You'll
I
see me
will
in
probably
this-
be here.
Oh, okay, good. You'll see me in there. No. It just depends if I'm an introverted that night or if
Yeah.
I'm like more of an extrovert
Yeah.
that night. It switches. I don't know. Well, no, you said that naturally it's more introverted, right?
Yeah, naturally I'm more introverted. I
Yeah,
use
yeah.
all my outgoing energy when I'm at work.
Yeah.
And
then back to it.
And
yeah,
then-
see, mine switches. One day I'm just like, I just want to be social and I want to go out. And then sometimes I'm like, I don't want to see anyone.
yeah. Yeah, I think it's the nature of the job because I'm social when I'm here.
True.
And that fills that bucket
Yeah.
for me.
Yeah. And you're like, all right, bucket full.
Yeah.
I'm out.
Yeah.
Oh man. Well, thank you so much for being here,
Oh,
for
thank
being
you.
here, for letting us be here. I honestly had a great time, and honestly, like the fact that it just became a moment where I just walked in here one day and just felt good, and then I get to interview you and
Thank you.
hear about your whole journey and what you wanted for this place. So I think it's so cool, and
Oh,
I hope you
thank
know
you.
that like what you wanted for this place has definitely resonated here because it
Oh.
really was a shift in my journey when I was here.
That's
and so
amazing.
I'm interviewing as a fan, absolutely.
Oh,
like
thank
as a
you.
fan. I think we were on the phone the other day, and then you were just, I was like, oh, I might come in actually. And you're like, for research, right? I'm like, yeah, sure, for research.
Yeah.
I'm like, So thank you so much, though, because you
Oh,
did,
of course.
I did just message you on Instagram, and you replied, and you were so sweet, and you were up for a phone call. And so I think that is really cool, and that shows that it is about support, too, and the fact that, you know, we're doing this because we want to highlight small businesses, and, you know, as a women-owned business, too, I mean, it obviously resonates more here.
Right.
But this is what the show's about, to be honest. And I want the community to know, like, the effort it took for you to build this, and the dream that it is, and the fact that you love your community. And so I hope everyone really feels that, because I felt it too.
Thank you.
So, yeah, thank you so much.
I
for
really
being here.
appreciate it.
Yeah. All right, guys. So that was Lightbulbs with Natasha with Angela from District Wine. And you can catch this episode on Spotify, Apple, wherever you get your podcasts, and YouTube as well. Don't forget to subscribe. And don't forget to follow District Wine and come visit and try their monthly events for wine tasting and to meet wine makers. And yeah, thank you so much.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you.